I think, figuring out how we're going to play, we got some versatility. We can play two bigs, but that's the only two bigs we got. So I think you'll see us play that some. I don't think that's going to be the majority of the game. So it's, as I've said earlier, you're probably looking back 2 years where we had Darrington and Rowe, and we had a lot of four-guard look to it. And I think you'll see that versus some two bigs lineups as well. So kind of piecing all that together from an offense and defense standpoint, because we guard pick and rolls differently in four guards than we do two bigs. There's a lot of different things we do offensively. It's a little different. So kind of getting the guys comfortable with that and the understanding of that. And then really from an X and O standpoint, it's all about rebounding. I've always thought rebounding was a huge part of defense, and we've been really good defensively, but we've been even better at the rebounding end of it. And that's probably our biggest concern going into the season right now. Just where are those rebounds going to come? Because we don't have that Drew Gordon who occupied 15 rebounds a game. Those 15 now are going to have to be dispersed between 3, 4, 5 guys, and we got to make sure those 3, 4, 5 guys know that.
What are some of your expectations this year for this club, Coach?
Defend our title. We've talked about it already. Do what we do. It's our drive for 5. It's in our locker room. We've won 4 titles in 5 years. So it's now the drive for 5. And that's going to take a huge effort, because this league has gotten better and better and better. And as I said, it's constantly trending up, and it's still trending up here in year 6. But I don't think we'll be picked to win it, but we've been picked to win it 1 year anyway. So we want to be in the mix at the end. So we got a very demanding non-league schedule that can really prepare us for league play. We get 9 days off before we enter league play. So it'll give us a chance to eval ourselves after 15 games and then work on some things before we start league play. So I like the schedule. I like the road makeup, very demanding road trips, including the Virgin Islands. A trip to Indiana State is not easy to get to. And then you got over the holidays, you're going to Cincinnati and St. Louis, 2 top 25 teams probably. Very demanding road trips with an outstanding home slate where I think 5 or 6 of the teams we play this year are picked to win their league. So it's a demanding schedule, and we know that, and we got to get very advanced here in the next 3 weeks.
Coach, I know you said you don't think that you guys aren't going to be picked to win it, and you know that going in. I'm curious, how often do you actually mention that to the guys?
I'm not. Probably once we get into league play, we'll talk about it a lot. I'm probably not going to talk much about it in November and December. 4 years ago, these guys, the program needed a different kind of motivation. Now, 5 years in it, there is a blueprint for success. There is a championship demeanor in our locker room. So our guys understand that. 2 of the 3 guys that we've brought in Cleveland Thomas and Nick Banyard, have won championships in high school. So we're starting to recruit guys that have won championships. And so you're not reinventing the wheel when it comes to teaching guys that this program is about championships. So they're going to be driven by it, but we'll probably post that in the locker room when those picks come out. We've done that in the past. Yet last year was a different kind of pressure. We were picked to win it, and we've never been picked to win it, so it was a different kind of pressure, and yet they did win it, and then they went on to win the tournament. So there was a lot of pressure on that group last year, and I'm very, very pleased with how they handled it. There's always new pressures, new anxieties going into another year, but I like our veteran leadership. We got guards that have been here a while, and they understand it, and they get it, and we're going to rely on that a lot.
Coach, do you have to reinvent yourself though? And I don't mean so much in a mindset, but as style of play in that thing each year?
No, you go through this 3 or 4 weeks to figure out what you think you can do. We may pick up full court a little bit because we're deep at the guard position to see if we like that or not. People know I'm not a press coach. I'm not a zone coach. So when I say we may do a little bit of that, that probably means it's real little. But we are athletic, and to play all the guards that we have, and maybe to wear people down, maybe especially in this building, we could do some things like that if I think it warrants that. If not, we still got to hang our hat on who we are. We're an unselfish offense that moves the ball. We don't turn the ball over. We get high percentage shots. Defensively, we're pressure the ball, gap help, try to defend as well as we can, give you one shot only and make it a difficult shot. That's who we are. So we're not going to reinvent, but we may have to go back to doing the things that we did 2 years ago, more with a 4-guard lineup. We didn't really have a 4-guard lineup much of last year. We did it sparingly, but most of the time we had 2 forwards in there.
Coach, what kind of advantages does that 4-guard set present for the Lobos?
Well, it's good with the 4 guards we're putting out there. You know, when you got Demetrius and Kendall and Tony and Hugh, those are 4 explosive guards. Those are 4 guards that can really defend. They're athletic guards, they're fast guards, they're strong guards. You look at the strength of a Walker, a Greenwood, then you got the speed of a Williams. You got the combination in a Walker. You got the combination plus height in a Tony Snell. And then I like our bench. You know, I think our bench will be able to bring some young guys. It'll be young. It'll be a young bench. Where I think in years past we might have had a real vet coming off the bench, and maybe that vet this year is Jamal. You know, if Jamal is the guy that ends up coming off the bench, that's a senior laden point guard that's been in our system a long time, won a lot of games. He and Chad are only 22 wins away from breaking another record. So these guys have been around a lot of wins, and bringing Jamal plus some young guys off the bench isn't a bad thing. But those 4 guys that are in that lineup, those are 4 hard matchups.
Are they excited about that opportunity, the guard?
I think so. You have to ask them that. I would think they're pretty excited about it. But then we can hit you with 2 bigs. You know, I don't know if that's the way we're going to start things, but 4 or 5 minutes each half, we can hit you with 2 guys that can really play the post in Cam and Alex. I think you'll rotate most of them because I worry about foul trouble. One gets in foul trouble, it forces you to go to 4 guards. I don't really want opponents being able to force us to do things. I'd rather us dictate how we're going to play and not worry about the foul. Now, if you get severe foul trouble, obviously you got to make some changes, but we just got to watch that because we're not real big up front.
With the 4-guard set, how important is perimeter shooting going to be?
Well, we've always relied on perimeter shooting. We've always been a good shooting team, whether it's been 3-point shooting or otherwise. We've relied on that, but we're going to be inside out. You know, Alex is a guy that we can play inside out, and Alex is a go-to guy in the post. I think Cam's game has really evolved nicely, that he's going to be a go-to guy in the post. So, you know, we say we could be doing some 4 guards, we could be playing some 2 bigs, but those 2 bigs, they're a handful inside. They're going to be guys that we can throw the ball in the post, and if they demand double teams, that's really going to affect us in a positive way with the 4 guards that are going to be circling the rest of the perimeter.
Coach, if you compare this club with the one 2 years ago, can Tony Snell beat Darrington Hobson?
Don't know, and we don't tell Tony to be Darrington. You know, there's never been another Darrington league. You know, there's only been one player in the history of this place lead a team in scoring, assists, rebounding. So that's a tall order. I don't think Tony's going to do all 3 of those things. He may, but we're not telling him he's got to be a Darrington Hobson. Darrington Hobson was a very special player here, and I think Tony's going to be a very special player through his 4 years. But you know, Tony's a better shooter. Tony can extend defenses that way. He's learning how to drive the ball. He's much stronger. He's gained some strength this summer. We see him playing with a lot more confidence. So, but when we do have 4 guards out there, it's going to be hard just to look at Tony because Kendall can hurt you in a lot of ways. Demetrius is going to be a very hard matchup, and Hugh just stables everybody. Hugh is a guy out there that makes the right decision, makes the right play, gets the ball in the right position, the right guy at the right time. So all those things, you know, there's not that much pressure on Tony to be somebody he's not. We want Tony to be Tony. If Tony will be Tony, that'll be a good guy.
Out of the new guys, which one you think would probably press for a lot of playing time?
You know, I think it's still early. You know, Nick is a guy that can extend defenses because he's a stretch 4. So we get a 6'9" presence there that can shoot the ball. He can also defend the post. So he's an inside-out guy, and obviously we don't have as much up front. So I think the possibility for playing time is greater up front right now than it is in the backcourt. But Pancake's done a great job. Pancake is he looks like a taller version of Dries Gary. You know, he comes in with 205, 210 in body weight already. So he's got really good strength to him. I think we'll be able to use him for a lot of defensive purposes, and I think you'll see his offense come. He's a very good driver, and I think as years evolve, he'll end up being a very good shooter as well. But he can do a lot of things offensively and defensively for us. And then Devin is somebody Devin's just long, athletic, presents a lot of matchup problems. And we got to take our time with Devin because we're trying to really move Devin to the guard spot. I don't really want him being a stretch 4 like Nick. We're trying to develop him into the guard position, so we're going to be real patient with him.
Coach, with Alex's shooting ability, will we see you do a lot of pick and pop with him?
Yeah, you know, we do that every year. You know, not a lot of pick and popping with AJ. We started doing that a lot with Drew late in the year when he started knocking down the 15-foot shot. I think what Cam and Alex can do, they can extend the defense a little bit more because they can shoot the 3-point line. So we just don't want to make it a living out there, and they've got to understand that. They have got to establish themselves inside. If you don't establish inside, then it really negatively affects outside. So our offense will always be inside out. And if we get those two established inside, then we'll have the freedom to move them out with our ball screening offense to where they can pick and roll or they can pick and pop. But both of those guys have the ability to do both.
Do you see a guard stepping up to help? You mentioned rebounding. Did you see a guard stepping up to help with the rebounding chores?
Well, I think Tony and Hugh are two guys. Tony's got to prove that because he's a big guard. Hugh has been a great rebounding guard through his freshman year. He's really a good rebounding guard. Kendall is somebody who can get rebounds and fly. So I think that's a positive. But then Demetrius is somebody I think can be like Darius was. Darius was a 4 or 5 rebound game for us. And if we can get 4 or 5 rebounds a game out of Hugh, Tony, Demetrius, Kendall fill in with some, then we're making up some of that loss with the 15 to Drew, and then Cam and Alex obviously have to do what they've got to do. Cam and Alex have got to be 6 to 8 rebound a game type guys.
Coach, how do you balance now that Corey's in the mix in a guard deep team? How do you balance as far as getting him into the mix? He's your son, and that whole.
Well, being my son doesn't affect it. I've been a coach's kid, so my dad was a coach. He coached both my brother and I. I played for Coach Knight, who coached his son. So that's nothing new. Is it new to me now? Yeah, being a father and a coach. But Corey's no different than anybody else. He's got to earn those minutes. And I think that's why I give him a lot of credit for redshirting last year. He wasn't ready strength-wise. He's gained 22 pounds since he enrolled into school here. He's playing much stronger. He is somebody who can knock down shots, and he's a great passer. So as his strength continues to influence him defensively in a positive way, then he's gonna fight just like those other guys. Pancake's gonna fight for minutes off the bench. We got some guards that are gonna fight for some minutes off the bench, but by starting 4 guards, if we end up going that way, if we end up starting 4 guards, then you've got room to play a lot of guards. But you're gonna see a lot of these guards, I think, switch from what would be a 4-guard lineup to when we go big to big, they're in the backcourt. So it's a little confusing, but we've got some versatility, I think, that we can play a lot of different ways, and he's going to have every opportunity, every chance anybody else does.
How will Jamal fit in the mix?
Well, I think Jamal can give us a spark off the bench. He did that a lot last year, and we're going to need Jamal to give us that energy. He gives us a different point guard than Hugh or Demetrius or whoever it may be. Demetrius, Kendall, Walk, Hugh, they can all play the point. So I'm hoping that our ball handling is taken care of. We should be a team that can play faster, but I don't want our turnovers to go from 12 a game to 15 a game. We did that 2 years ago, and that hurt us, just moving from 12 to 15 a game. So I think Jamal's got to come in and just give us, maybe we can pick up full with Jamal. As we go to our bench, we can do some pressing, we can do some trapping, but play faster offensively. Just do some things that maybe we're not going to ask you to do that Jamal can do.
But this-
Last year, Demetrius at times gave you a real boost coming off the bench. Are you going to have to find somebody to replace that for you this year?
Yeah, and nothing's done. I'm sitting here talking about 4 guards, but we're 3 practices in. We got till November 12th to get a starting lineup, so we could have a press conference 2 weeks from now, and I got 3 forwards in the lineup. I don't know how practices are going to go yet, but Demetrius in the last 4 weeks of the season, I think was as important as what Drew Gordon was doing for us on the inside of what Walk was doing for us on the outside. Walk was fantastic late in the year, and I think a lot of that, he's gotten healthy. He had 2-3 knee surgeries in less than 14 months in his year out. When he transferred and he set out here, I don't think he practiced 10 times. He was hurt the whole time. So he really didn't have your traditional redshirt season. And I thought you saw last year he started getting healthy. This year he's really healthy. I mean, the difference of watching him on tape at home at night, the last 2 practices at night that I've had when I've watched tape versus watching him a year ago have been night and day. He's running around, he's jumping, he's on the floor, he's guarding people. He's just healthy, so he's carrying himself with a lot more confidence. And we always knew Demetrius had incredible talent, but you got that talent with being healthy now, and you got a much different player, and I think that's who he is. But if that's the way we go, yeah, but you still got Cam, you know, if it's Cam or Alex coming off the bench, it's Jamal coming off the bench, so you're still going to have some, you got Chad Adams that can come off the bench, so we've still got some experience with our youth that can come off the bench and do some things for us.
Could you talk about Kendall a little bit with another year of experience under his belt?
Well, he's just got to continue to do what Kendall does, continue to improve, continue to get better. He's had 2 outstanding years, and he's positioned himself well for all conference honors, national honors, and he's just got to continue to do the things Kendall does. Play to your strengths. He's as fast as fast a kid as I've coached. He has to play to that speed, but he has to play with a kind of a speed under control. Make right decisions. He's a great passer. You know, I think in our 2 practices so far in statting him, he's got like 1 turnover to 9 assists. You know, those are the things he's got to be able to do. Use his strength of speed to create things for him and create easy opportunities for his teammate. And I think what you saw in the last 2 months, especially in the league play, he was probably our best defending guard. And if he can continue to establish himself defensively, you've got the whole package in Kendall.
How has Cam improved over the summer, Coach?
Great footwork. I think his footwork's gotten better and better. His body looks better. He's lost a little bit of weight. I thought he was really worked well on his upper body last year and got stronger, but I thought he carried himself a little bit too heavy. So he's about 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds lighter than last year. He's moving better. His mobility's been better. And he's been a bear to guard just because he's really worked hard on his footwork and his post game. And I think you see Cam be able to drive a little bit, which anytime you got a big that can pass it, drive it, shoot it, post it, those bigs are hard to guard. You know, Alex is a great passing big man. So I like what our big man can do, and I think you're going to have to go out on the floor and guard him. I don't think a lot of teams went out on the floor and guarded AJ. Now we've got to make up for what AJ did for us defensively, because AJ was terrific defensively, and that's where we've got to really do a better job inside of making up for what AJ did for us.
Cam never gave any quarter. I mean, when he's is he picking up the best
I'm sorry,
big man?
who?
Cam, is he picking up the best big man when you go into defense?
When we're big?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we're big, we'll have to see. If we're big, Cam's got to play the power forward spot, because we're not going to take Alex out of the center position. So Alex has got to guard the center. So it all depends on what that lineup is. But when we go big, Cam will guard the power forward and Alex will guard the center.